I got it. At first it was hard. Nobody believed me. Ever since then, I'm making it clear. This my year. This my year. I hustle in the dark with a bright my head. Get the bright idea. I push gas, pedal lift, blue and red lights in my car side rear. Cause the number one threat is a nigga who was real. So they put bait out, you bite they real. And my life a movie, the camera's real. But I don't take credit for the action, more passive. How I like my money. Used to call me Chris Rock, now they acting funny. Just back dummy. Watch how I do this. Execute like Popovich, executive maneuvers. Mastermind, he Luther. Well, okay, young Lex. The block don't care about that. What's next? Well, of course, more checks. Let's check that back off the list. Backpack through the grind in my Jansport. Tuck little six or little man. I was an outcast for you. Even knew Miss Jackson, big boy. Abracadabra. Made dollars out thin air. I'm trying to start black banks, no Bel Air. If I die, my fam will fill up. Bonafide killer. Home my crap. If they hate, let them hate while I talk my jazz. Step back, can't follow through. You ain't a G if your niggas can't call on you. No Elijah.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's magazine night tonight. Now, I'm going to apologize to my buddy Fred. He's my best friend. And I was talking to him on the phone this evening, and I told him I'm about to do a magazine review right now because he asked me what I was doing. And I said, I'm going to do May 1984. And I was looking up all these fun facts, and he was helping me go through them. Like, we figured out Michael Jordan was like number 3 in the draft and all this fun stuff. And then I opened up the magazine to start the video, and I realized I did that magazine like a year ago. So had to ditch that one and start all over. So we're going to do BMX Action Magazine. This is April 1989. So, of course, I looked up the fun facts for 1989. The cool thing about 1989 is I'm from the Bay Area, and it was a big year for sports for us in 1989 because the A's were playing the Giants. So the Oakland A's, San Francisco Giants in the World Series, which was very cool for us because they called it the Bay Bridge Series. Of course, it was a big earthquake, but beside the fact of that, it was just a great series. The A's ended up winning that one. The 49ers won the Super Bowl that year. They beat the Bengals. So we had 3 of our teams in championship games, which is really cool. I was a freshman in college. I was going to a community college at the time, but I went to Chabot Junior College then, and it was pretty much, everybody considered it like high school version 2, because that's what it felt like to me. The Detroit Pistons beat the Los Angeles Lakers, so they were the NBA champs. The first episode of The Simpsons was released, can you believe that, in 1989. It's the longest running television series ever. That show is still going on right now, and I never missed an episode of The Simpsons back then, and I can't even remember the last time I've actually watched The Simpsons now, so I don't even know what season they're on. I should have looked that up. The Berlin Wall came down in 1989, and the Game Boy was released. The first Game Boy. I know it wasn't the greatest because it wasn't even in color. The game was kind of like this amber-colored looking screen, and the only thing I ever remember playing on a Game Boy is Tetris. And I remember buying my kids Game Boys years and years later because I didn't have children at the time, of course. Summer of '89, we saw some big hits from groups like New Kids on the Block, Richard Marx, Paula Abdul, Bette Midler. I think she really blew up because of that movie. It's going to come back to me. Anyway, Motley Crue was big, and the Beastie Boys. The first time I heard the Beastie Boys, I think I was in 1988. I was still in high school my senior year, and I thought they were the coolest thing ever. The World Wide Web, so the internet, was actually invented in 1989. Who would have thought? I don't think I logged on to the internet until like 1994, and that was the first time I had an AOL account, and that was crazy. That dial-up internet and going into the chat rooms and having an email set up, and that was a big deal. Seinfeld came out in 1989. That was huge. And then the number one selling car in 1989 was the 1989 Honda Accord. It sold 362,707 units. That's insane. That was the number one selling car. Batman was number one at the box office by far. I think Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was, I think, second. But Batman grossed over 251 million. So that thing just crushed. And that's about it for the fun facts for 1989. Let's get into the magazine. So on the cover, this is interesting because I didn't recognize the writer right away. And I did notice the Auburn, the Vans with the rolled up jeans. Now this, guys, was basically a staple of the 80s. You had to have your pants tapered. If you weren't able to taper them yourself, we either had to safety pin those things or we had to just fold and roll. And that was super, super common. I wore all my jeans like that. My parents thought I was nuts. But the writer, I'll just skip to this section of the magazine really quick. The writer was actually Will Smith, believe it or not. Not the Will Smith, but this Will Smith. It looks like he was from Belfast. And so he got the cover of BMX Action magazine in 1989, which I thought was very, very cool. It's funny his name is Will Smith, but at least it's spelled differently. All right, let's get into the actual magazine itself. This is going to be a good one. I kind of thumbed through this one, and I actually had some recollection of it. I remember reading this. I remember specifically because I was working at a Round Table Pizza in 1989, and I was in the back of the restaurant, which was the smoking section. There was this small booth, and I remember sitting down in that small booth reading this magazine. So it's kind of funny that that came back to me. So on the cover again, Will Smith, he's rocking the Auburn. We got a Charles Townsend interview in here. UFO swoops down and delivers the new Mongoose and Schwinn test bikes. Ancient BMX guru makes Nora Cups disappear, and makes it disappear through mental telepathy. Don't know what that means. We'll figure it out in a second. And of course, we got the brand new BMX Action logo, the Racer's Choice. You got to love that, the Racer's Choice. I think they were at that point attempting to put BMX Action on its own, focusing on racing primarily. And then there was the Freestyling magazine. The Freestyling magazine didn't last forever, though. It was nowhere near as long as BMX Action. Let's open it up. Let's crack it open. Here we go. So, of course, it's about 90% Haro, always on the inside cover. Mike King, the Group 1s, rocking in the Toyota Supra there. We got an ad here from Odyssey. A little freestyle stuff going on here. And let's break this open to the table of contents. This is a great shot. Now, this is Rick Palmer. Rick Palmer was riding on Skyway at the time. And Rick is a big guy. The Skyway TA, I can imagine, was probably just too small for Rick. So they developed the Skyway 300 TA, which would have been considered at the time a modern race bike. The 300 TA is still a very collectible item, but it's not nearly as popular as the Skyway TA. People just don't run out and go, let me get a 300 TA. Everybody wants the everyone wants the standard TA. This one obviously did not have tough wheels. So how Rick convinced Skyway to build him this bike and not have tough wheels on it is beyond me, because Skyway is all about tough wheels. This bike is really cool though. And I remember seeing Rick at my local track in Sonoma, California, when he first got on Skyway. He was rocking a white Skyway TA with graphites on it. I thought it looked really, really slick. But let's look at the table of contents. We got Deer Gork, Dirt, interview with Charles Townsend. We're going to go to the NBL Christmas Classic it's in Ohio. We have a test for the Mongoose 89 California Pro, the 89 Nora Cup results, the test for the Schwinn Sting, so the new Schwinn Sting, and then Shimano F1 drawing contest and the results. And then, of course, we have our outtakes. Okay, let's open it up. Oh, by the way, I believe this shot is at Red Devil in Union City, California, because I was looking at some of the pictures of Charles Townsend in the magazine, and he's definitely what appears to be at Red Devil. Him and Rick did train together, so I'm almost positive this was Red Devil. That was a kind of a historic place for us to go ride in the Bay Area. Great ad here of with Gary Ellis on the GT Pro Series. We got the Mach 1 here. Great 2-page ad. Love the frame and fork, the chromoly frame and fork. These are the GT Pro Power Series cranks, which are still popular today. And look at the stems, the hubs, everything about GT was just high quality, still is. Love GT. Let's keep on going. We got Deer Gork. Let's read one. Okay, let's go to the challenge. It's called Challenge Threat ? Deer Gork. I'm an Australian. You're probably saying to yourself that we suck, but you were wrong. We have produced at least 5 juniors who beat your guys at the internationals last year and the year before. I would like you to come to Australia, do a story about our talent. If you don't, I'll have BMX Magazine taken off the shelves for the rest of your life. Wow. And that was written by Jamie Stinson from Down Under is all it says. So let's see what Gork says. No, you are wrong. I don't think you guys suck. Quite honestly, I respect Australia, especially Daniel Sprague and Paul Adams. As the self-anointed official spokesperson for American BMXers, I accept your challenge and will see you this August in Brisbane, Australia for the IBMXF World Championships. And I hope Aussies kick our U.S. butts, fat chance, but it'd be cool to see, cool to be seeing a good effort put out by you guys. Gork. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. As we all know by now, Australia does produce some of the greatest riders. Was it Sai Sakakibara? She won the gold medal this time around in the Olympics, and obviously she's from Australia. So, not to mention, obviously, Sam Willoughby is probably the most famous Australian rider, but there's a ton of them, which I'm going to draw a blank on right now. Let's read another one. This one's called The Long Jump. Dear Gork, this is a picture of a local at AJ's in Long Beach, California. This new jumping zone is right down the street from the OM of SE Racing's old house, where he jumped off the roof into a swimming pool. The jumper is Tigger, a.k.a. Jason Thompson. Do you think this is cool or what? And there's a shot here of him jumping, knocking out a 1-footer right here, if you guys can see it right there. That's a great shot. And that was from Bugs Carter at Long Beach, California. And it says, look closely at this shot. The gasping groupie with their hands over her mouth, the groving kid buried in his shoulders. This is not only how, but where BMX began. That's a really cool shot. I like it a lot. Okay, let's keep moving, guys. The last time I did a magazine, it was like 40 plus minutes. I'm going to really try not to do that tonight. This is a great ad. Diamondback now again battling with GT in terms of the 2-page ads. We've seen this one before. This Diamondback reactor, I think, is really, really awesome. This is the Assault, so this is probably second tier. And we got Charles Townsend here checking out the bike with the great shot of Harry Larry on the wall. I've seen this ad before. Long live Anthony Sewell. So Anthony was out of the limelight at this point in 1989, and he had showed up sometime in 1988, did one race, and then his bike was stolen and he disappeared. And as we know, unfortunately, we lost Anthony some time ago, but he was, again, one of the greatest racers of all time. Love it. And here's an interesting thing about Robinson. In 1989, Robinson pretty much had cut everybody from the roster with the exception of Greg Hill. There was some talks that were going to bring Todd Blazer on, though. I love this Fusion seat clamp here. That's really cool, seat post clamp. Ooh, that's a cool looking stem. What is that? This is the new Redline Flight stem. Check that out, guys. Wow, that's pretty trick looking. And there's the Fusion seat clamp that we were talking about. Let's keep on going. Oh, wow, check out this ad. So I love the Frankfurt BMX ad, of course, and then we have, this is a Redline ad, believe it or not. We got, it looks like to be Billy Griggs in there. I see his race bike on the top, and we got really Billy, Chris, and it says Tom on there. That's really cool. With the bikes on the roof, it looks like they're heading to a race. And what looks to be an abandoned truck. That's really cool. All right, here we go. We got the Charles Townsend interview here. Now, this shot right here, like I said, this definitely looks like Red Devil. I could be wrong completely. I hope I'm not. But this is a great shot here of Charles right here. He's obviously on Diamondback. It says here, whatever I do, whatever it is, racing or a friendly game of football, just have that attitude of think to win. That's really cool. He has that positive mental attitude. Let's keep going. Oh, this is a great shot of Charles too. And I've mentioned this before about this Diamondback kit. This is one of my favorite ones. And I know that, you know, we all look at the early 80s as probably the coolest ones. But for some reason, I really, really dig this kit. I think it's really slick and definitely something I would wear now. But I always say that. I like the white Echo helmet with the 09 visor on there. He's rocking the 09 plate with a very large number on it. And that's how we did it back then. And now remember, this is the close of the 80s, so things are going to start to change a little bit as we leave the 80s and start entering the 90s. But this is early 80s. This is early 89. It's only April. So the year's really just got off to a start there. Let's keep going. Oh, this is great. Look at that shot. I'm not satisfied with getting second. I wasn't satisfied getting national number 2 last year. That's a great shot of Charles right there. This guy is so cool. I've met Charles at least twice. The first time I met Charles Townsend, it was probably 1998. So a good almost 10 years after this magazine came out. I was at a local restaurant in Union City. It was like a Chinese restaurant. And I walked in and I can't remember who I was with, but we were about to sit down and have dinner. And I looked over and I go, holy crap, that's Charles Townsend. I go, whoa, you're Charles Townsend. You know, and people were looking right away thinking, oh, who's the famous guy, you know? And I looked at him, I go, oh man, you're one of my favorite riders, man. And he shook my hand, you know, I interrupted his dinner. But that was in 1989. And then I ran into him again, and now we're talking 2024. I ran into him at the Frogtown event, and I got a picture with Charles. I got a picture with Gary Ellis. And matter of fact, Gary took the picture of me and Charles. And then I realized it was Gary taking the photo, which I was super embarrassed. But anyway, that was a super cool moment for me to run into some of my idols from back then. And again, great shot, Charles Townsend. And of course, I wish I could read all this, but it's going to take way too long. But let's just look at this portion right here. What Charlie thinks of the other pros. If you went down a list of pros, can you name their best feature, like what you would say Mikey King's best quality? He said he's sneaky in turns. Gary Ellis, he can speed jump a wall. Greg Hill, he's got all the experience. Pete Lonkarovich, his first couple of cranks are really strong out of the gate. He gets good lunges. Sean Texas, he distracts the starter well, and he just laughs. Let's see. His third and fourth cranks are strong. He's so strong, though, he's squirrely. Todd Blazer, I've seen Todd get starts like the gate's already down on the ground before he goes. He still is first to the first jump. His first and third crank are definitely strong. Billy Griggs. Billy's just a super smooth rider. Who's got the best start out of everybody? He says that's impossible to say. That's like asking who's the best pro. Everybody's going to win. Everyone's gonna get good starts. I've gone to races and gotten really good starts, and then the next race I've gotten really lame starts. Who consistently gets good starts? Consistently, I'd probably say Gary Ellis. Then he goes, Travis Chiprez. He promotes mongoose quite well. He's good. He's a good kid. He's the Richie Cunningham of BMX. Todd Slavic. Todd's cool. We joke around a lot. And then let's see, Mad Dog. He's awesome. He wins Colorado both days, and he doesn't train like you guys do. He's awesome. Let's see. He can jump. He doesn't click cans and stuff, just Supercross style. When it says MD here, I wanted to say Mad Dog, but I don't know if that's who they're talking about there, but that's pretty cool. All right, this is a great ad here of Vans, and I talked to Terry Tennant in our interview. He got a chance to race for Vans. It's good money racing for Vans. We see Ronnie Anderson back there. I believe that's Danny Milwee right there. This is a great shot of these Vans guys. Let's keep going. Ooh, look at this. Look at this great shot. Wow. Looks like we got Matt Hayden right here. I recognize that right away. Coastal Bike Supply, and this must be Eric Carter racing for Schwinn. And I love these JT Racing pants. Wasn't too crazy about this pattern on the back of the pants, but that elastic kind of sucked everything in, which was really, really cool. Let's see, I can write this Ohio story in one run-on sentence. We are definitely not reading that. Let's keep on moving. Oh, we got Shelby James right here. That's a great shot of Shelby. Look, we got a boss rider up here. Let's see who's up there. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. It's Nick Libertor, factory boss. He's up there. And then we've got, looks like Griffin and Pavlovsky show promise, but not enough to dethrone this guy. Billy Killer B. Owl. Awesome. This is Chase Digit. His name is actually Chase Digit. That's awesome. Marvelous Marty Christman. And that looks like he was factory free agent. This is really, really cool. All right, let's keep on going. These are great race shots. Man, I wish this stuff was in color, but these are great shots. We have up here on the top these things are hard to figure out, guys, but it looks like it's Pro Cruiser. Cecil Johns on the far outside. Ron Walker, which was number 2X, which is right here on Factory MCS, looked more impressive than their main finishes showed. BMXA isn't asking you to keep an eye on them throughout. Oh no, BMXA isn't asking you to keep an eye on them throughout this year. We're telling you. Oh, okay, that's really cool. We got a good shot of another Skyway rider, Steve Dillard. Looks like he was riding for Factory Skyway. And he's on the 300 TA. Great shot here of Eric Carter. And then we have Galen Starlin right here, King of the Visorizers. And then this right here looks like Chavis Chiprez and Todd Corbett going at it right here. And let's see some of the results. So again, this is the NBL Christmas Classic. This is day 2 outcome. So Terry Tennant won A Pro, Gary Ellis, Greg Hill, Charles Townsend, Sean Texas, Hans Nissan, Billy Griggs, and Ronnie Anderson topped out the top A Pros. B Pro was Ron Walker, Danny Milwee, Darwin Griffin, Billy Au, Donnie Here, Brian, looks like Persinger, Ross McMahon, and Chris Muller rounded out the B Pro class. For a Pro Award, Darwin Griffin, let's try that again. Darwin Griffin won that one, Greg Hill, Sean Texas, Billy Griggs, Gary Ellis, Terry Tennant again, Rick Palmer, and Danny Milwee rounded out the Pro Award. For Pro Cruiser, Terry Tennant, so Terry doubled. And Terry did good. He made the main in all 3 classes. Hans Nissan, Jimmy Puglin, Cecil Johns, John Walker, Travis Chiprez, Donnie Hare, and Jarrett Justice rounding out Pro Cruiser. Very cool. Very cool. I've seen this ad before. This one always puzzles me because Mongoose paid to use to put one little definition on the entire page for their little Mongoose mountain bike ad. Pretty cool shot of Travis Chiprez though. Oh, here we go. We got they're going to do a test on the Mongoose. I believe this is the Mongoose California. We got Mad Dog doing the no footer here, and then he's in race mode right here. It's a great shot. Oh, wow. Check it out. He's really clicked. Look how far his foot is over the top of the handlebars here. I love how he cut up the Haro flow panel to fit on the handlebars. The first person I saw doing that, I think, was I seen Pete Lonkarovich do that in the magazines too. I don't know if this came first, but I definitely recognize that look. All right, let's keep going. Oh, here's the Mongoose California right here. This is a really quality bike. Check out the seat rails on it. Way ahead of its time. Knee saver handlebars that almost look like CW handlebars. Not too crazy about the look of those handlebars, but you have to say it is different. It's got front brakes on it, which I thought is kind of odd for a race bike, but it was 1989. The complete bike was $350 to $375 at the time. And let's see, the finishes that were available, you can get in marble, gray, with blue and black. Like it looks like spangle thin, then clear coated. That's weird. It only came in one color. It came in that gray. That's strange. Unless that was the color that they tested it in, because I wouldn't imagine there was a bike that didn't come in chrome back then. But that's a really cool bike. Here's a great shot of Mike King. He's doing an ad for ODI. This is a great kit here that Mike's rocking right here. I love the black number plate with the white numbers on it. I got in trouble for doing that in 1993 at a national. I got a warning for running a black plate with white plate numbers, but I thought it looked so clean I didn't care. I just did it anyway. I got an ad for Homeboy magazine. This looks like an all-skater magazine. Not familiar too much with this magazine, but it looks pretty cool from what I can tell. We got Wavelength Surf Shop. Wow, they got a surf shop in here advertising? I never noticed that. This magazine is short, guys. We're nearly done already. This is great. We're only at 22 minutes. Oh, Nora Cup 1989. Greg Hill was 25 years old. His accomplishments at the time through to date, he was the 1979 NBA number 1, 1983 ESPN number 1, 3-time world champion, 1983, 1984, and 1985 Nora Cups, 1985 NBL and USBA number 1 pro and pro cruiser, IBMX world champion, and 1988 NBL number 1 pro. Pretty good list for Greg. The one thing that eluded Greg was the ABA title, and I have a video of him. I think it was around this era. He was so close to getting the title. It was between him and Gary Ellis. It came down to, like, I think the last main event where Gary actually edged him out. But I thought it was like Wow, I didn't realize that all these years. It took me to go back and review everything to realize that was the one title that got away from Greg. Other than that, he just dominated absolutely everything. The number one Nora Cup team was Mongoose. This is a great shot. Check it out. We got Mr. Eric Roop sitting right there. The number one bike for the Nora Cup in 1989 was the Robinson. Wow, that bike is super clean, guys. Look at that. That's so nice. Look at that's beautiful. I love it. Okay, let's see. And that's it. So the Nora Cup riders, the top 10 results. So Greg Hill obviously got 22% of the votes, which is really cool. Charles Townsend got 16%. Travis Triprez picked up 12%. We'll just stop at the top three so I don't run out of breath here. The Nora Cup team, Mongoose got 24% of the votes, edging out GT by only 1% because they got 23% of the votes, and Robinson picked up 15% of the votes. That's pretty good. So Mongoose, GT, Robinson just pretty much had the majority of the votes. For the number one bike, Robinson had 20% of the votes. GT had 18%. Wow. And then we had Mongoose with 15% of the votes. Now, I don't know if GT was owned Robinson yet. I think they did based on that GT Pro Series crank I see there in the picture. So I'm pretty sure. So GT kind of swept it. They had two bikes in the top two because, Robinson is a GT product at that point. Nora Cup advertisements. Mongoose had the number one advertisement, which we already looked at, which is actually right up here. That's a new category, actually. And let me get closer. That's the. Let me get the glare out of there. Sorry, guys. It's when they're in the '57 Chevy. So that was the number one advertisement for 1989. It's really weird. I didn't know they did that. GT, and that was 26% of the votes, with GT getting 25% of the votes, and then Vision Streetwear getting 10%. So that's really cool that Mongoose edged them out. That's really, really cool. First class BMX. We've seen that a million times. And then we got, oh, look at this. I love that these things are always attached. I'm always impressed by that. And then this is the advertisement to get to BMX action. Looks like we got a Robinson sitting right here. This is really, really cool. Oh, here we go. The Schwinn Sting team model. Wow. And who do we got here? We have Brian Hernandez cruising in. Oh, so he's doing a John Cruz move right here on the brand new Schwinn Sting. This is a clean looking bike. Love the fact that it's got that laid back seat post. That was still a thing. I don't think a lot of serious racers ran the laid back seat post this late. I know it was super popular in the 80s, but as we're now leaving the 80s and moving into the 90s, you didn't see a lot of the laid back seat post stuff anymore. That's starting to fade now. Here's a great shot here. We've got a Mad Dog. Or no, I think this is still Brian right here, Brian Hernandez. He's boosting right here. Here's the sequence of him hitting the cruise. That is really clean. He landed smooth too. This is a great looking bike. Look at the stem. It says Yo on it. That's different. The bike itself is pretty cool. This one is more expensive than the Mongoose. The Mongoose, I think, ranged $350 to $370 if I'm right. This one was $409 suggested retail. The regular Sting minus the Annuin cranks and U-brakes retails for $299.95. So if you don't go with these cranks and you don't go with these brakes, it's going to save you about $100 off the bike. So a little more than $100. So that's pretty good. But I would think that you might as well, if you're going to go that much, you might as well go all the way and get the good cranks with the U-brakes on it, which I think is pretty unique. And the brakes are underneath the frame instead of sitting on the top, which is different, as you can see in this photo right here. That's like the Diamondback Reactor was exactly the same way. With having the brake set up on the bottom, I'm not sure what the advantage was for that at all. I don't know if it was gimmicky or not, but it's still a very cool touch. Oh, here we go. We got Brackens here. He's doing his own thing at that time. We got, it looks like Jive here. S&S Racing Bikes. And then we got the free agent ad here. This is really cool. I remember this photo of this mom jumping like this in excitement. Look at that. I absolutely remember that photo. That's really cool. Let me read that really quick. That's interesting. We're almost done with the magazine anyway. It says, Dear Gork, I must say by seeing my picture in your magazine was quite a surprise to me. That picture was taken at the Grands. It's worth 1,000 words, but I'm keeping it down to a few. Oh, this is really cool. Now, by the way, this was written by Penny McNeil out of Pomfret Center, Connecticut. So this was, I remember this shot was showed up in a magazine. She's now responding to that. As a parent, you can't help but get involved with your child's success and failures. We all want our children to win, but it seldom works out that way. After spending a year traveling through the eastern U.S. and attending 16 nationals, the big day arrived. My son Jay McNeil went to the NBL Grands, tied for number 1 in the 5 expert class. This is very cool, by the way. Although he's only 5, he realized what he had to do in order to win the number 1 plate. He raced perfect and got the title. Seeing that picture in the January issue brought back all the incredible feelings from that day: stress, relief, joy. The experiences Jay had last year can never be taken away from him. He learned important lessons about life that I feel will help him in growing up. Many kids can't deal with the pressure or don't know how don't know how. When you race BMX, you have to learn how parents who spend the time and money it takes to Parents who spend the time and money it takes to race BMX are special people. Their children are lucky. So to answer the caption, yes, I was stoked that day. It was a definite 10. Sincerely, Penny McNeil, Pomfret Center, Connecticut. And here's a shot of her son, who was literally 5 years old at the time, and that's Jay. That's really cool. Jay McNeil is only 5 years old, 1989. That's crazy. So he's like, what, 40 years old now? That's, man, when you see that, that really, really gives you an idea how much time has actually gone by. It's actually almost shocking to think that this little boy is 40 years old. So he's literally older than his mom is in this picture. So I really love that point. That's really, really cool. That was a great letter. All right, let's keep on going. We already know Will Smith got the cover. We looked at that already. We got Pro Stick here, which was another mail order ad. And here's some of the drawings that won for the F1 drawing contest. A little taken back. They didn't really put a lot of effort into this one because normally we see a lot more drawings, but this is just for the F1 bike. And these are your grand prize winners for the F1 bike and the drawings. These are really done really well, by the way. Great artwork. Great artwork. As a matter of fact, I'm always very impressed by people who can draw, because since I can't draw at all. Great dyno ad. I haven't seen one of these yet, so this is great. These helmets right now are super collectible. If you can get your hands on one of those open face helmets, that's gold. I see a lot of collectors actually have them in the background of their videos. And here's the outtakes. Got a freestyle guy here. Not sure who the rider is though. Is that let's take a look. Actually, guys, it's the skate park rider, Brian Blyther. All right, Brian Blyther. I should have noticed that. This guy is an incredible rider. Here's a great ad, Vision Streetwear, and they're backing some of the biggest racers at the time. We got, looks like Charles Townsend up there, Mike King right here, Pete Lonkarovich. These are some big dudes. We got Mike, Charles, Pete, and the Vision Streetwear ABA Domination, 1988. That was the end of the year for 1988. And that's it, guys. We did it. We got April 1989 in the books, BMX Action Magazine. This was a fun one. I like doing the early 80s magazines, but this one was really cool. It's kind of small for a BMX Action Magazine. We went through it pretty quick, but it's very well done. A lot of race action in here. I really enjoyed it. All right, guys, as always, thank you. If you stuck around for the 32 minutes, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week. We're going to do a race video next week. Looking forward to doing it. Have a great night, guys.